Hey, recording this video after close trade Tuesday 25th September 2012. Well, that was more like it. 22 points of range, about 1.6 million contracts traded. Nice to see you got some great emails from people who got on board this short move, and I'll go through the kind of the setup on the 1500 tip bar chart shortly. But where are we going? When looking at the 45, 135 minute and the daily chart kind of sequence here, the last couple of videos been saying, you know, this pullback to end of trend, we would see these kind of little sequences ripple through these charts. So the first one we got was on the 45-minute chart, which kind of marked this point peak here. Then on the 135-minute chart we had the pullback level kind of come in, but over the last couple of days we've been playing around there. It hasn't printed a pretty kind of end of trend sequence, but today's activity we just fell through that support level, which is kind of critical at about 47, 48 kind of here. And so that means now we're looking for the pullback to end of trend sequence on the daily chart. So at somewhere between here over the next few days we'll have a pullback support level kind of come in somewhere between this breakout level and here. And we'll have a final push up to pull back to end of trend, and then we'll have to see kind of where we go from there. But it's interesting that we're kind of wiping out, you know, the Bernanke. So this is the Mario Draghi kind of push, this is the Bernanke push, and now we're within a few points of, you know, wiping out that kind of QE3 euphoria that we had. Didn't take long, you know, the first kind of QE that got announced, we were very slow. The market was very slow to recognize the impact of it, and it lasted for weeks and months. QE2 less so, but now QE3, I think the market's become a little bit wise to what's kind of going on. Anyway, that's kind of interesting. In terms of how long this downtrend's going to run until we get that pullback level, I'll show you a couple of thoughts. In terms of the 135-minute chart, here was the profit taking that was going on after the consumer confidence number kind of comes out, and with yesterday's activity as well. So we've had this kind of topping out kind of pattern with no demand and profit taking patterns here. And on the oscillators, you know, trend oscillators kind of flicked over a fair few days ago, and we're pretty oversold at minus 160. The put call ratio, which is the same oscillator as the trend oscillator but just using put call ratio data instead of trend data, is only at positive 14. So we've got a few days to run here. So I think this will kind of get pretty overextended, hopefully on the downside before it starts to turn. But this is kind of another way of thinking, and maybe about when that support level will come in. This is dollar index. So dollar index bottomed when the equities topped. So this was kind of the day after. On this day here is when the equities kind of topped, and that was when dollar index bottomed. We had blue professional bars in here, exhaustion selling, and dollar index have been rallying since then. But we're in a downtrend at the moment. We're below support on the daily chart. So this has got to put in pullback to end of trend sequence on the downside here. And so when the better sine wave line starts to come together and signal a turning point, we're a few days away from it. So we're going to get some weakness, I think, in the equities market, some strength in dollar index until we see that start to kind of come together. The other way to look at it is in terms of bonds. Again, the bonds kind of bottomed at that peak in the equities market. You can see the blue professional bars kind of coming at the lows, exhaustion selling on the downside, and we get cyclical support on the bond market here. And again, the bond market's got a fair few days to go before we see cyclical resistance kind of coming in here. So I'll be looking at these two charts on a daily time frame, the bonds and the dollar index, and when the equities market and all of those things start to come together in terms of timing, that's when that support level is going to be printed. But for me, that looks like it's a few days away, so I think we're going to get some weakness. So any kind of strength ought to be shorted, I would kind of suggest over the next fair few days. In terms of tip bar charts, let's look at the 40,500 tip bar chart. So, you know, this is the Draghi kind of bounce, this is the Bernanke bounce, pullback to end of trend, and then, you know, after we had this, I said we were going to go through some cyclical activity where we're just kind of putting in these wide support and resistance levels. And so with today's activity, we had, you know, that was the sell-off that we had. The top was marked just after a push back up into the consumer confidence kind of high there, and we kind of sold off. We got exhaustion selling, blue professional bars kind of coming on the bottom there, and the support level kind of temporarily printed. I could see us having a little bit of a rally back up, and then kind of blue professional bar maybe coming in and selling down and turning this into a trend move. But let's see, that's potentially what's going on. This support level on this high time frame is matched by an end of trend sequence on the lower time frame that kind of associated with that. So the 4,500 tip bar chart kind of associated with the 40,500. That's a low and a high time frame there. So we've got pullback to end of trend to make here. This is TradeStation, just trying to refresh my charts. Anyway, pullback to end of trend we've got to make on the 4,500 tip bar chart. We've got blue professional bars kind of come in here. We've had our exhaustion selling bullish divergence kind of come in, and you can see on the 4,500 tip bar chart how the top was made. We had all of this. This was a complex correction on the way up. You can see kind of weak testing. So we're just batting backwards and forwards between support and resistance levels here. That's a complex correction. It doesn't break into a trend move. We have our exhaustion buying after consumer confidence numbers kind of come in. We test that again. Bearish divergence kind of comes in. Bang, we fall through support here. Blue professional bars kind of selling down, that's falling through the ice. Bang, we just kind of keep going. So that's the exhaustion selling, that's the selling volume kind of getting this move going, and then this is it taking profits, 15-20 points kind of later on the way down here. Bullish divergence kind of come in, tested overnight, so we're just having a little bit of a short covering rally kind of going on here, is finding a temporary bottom here. But I'd suggest this is just kind of going to test back up until we find where the professionals want to sell it down again and kind of push it down through that kind of support level here in the mid 30s. On the 1500 tip bar charts, this is my favorite time frame kind of looking at during the day. The 500 is a little bit too wiggly. It's good for kind of timing your entries, but the 1500 I really like. And I'm always looking for these bearish and bullish divergence signals. So this is the open that we had. So after yesterday's activity, we'd had exhaustion selling bullish divergence, kind of set off this uptrend. But it was one of these kind of complex corrections on the way up. You can see we're not really breaking support and resistance into trend moves. They're just kind of areas where the market's just holding. And that was the push into the consumer confidence number here, first time in, and then second time in, bearish divergence comes up, all these blue professional bars, and then we drop down, fall through another support level into a very strong downtrend move. Didn't end to at this end of trend. Kept on pushing down to the second one here, all the blue professional bars kind of coming in again at the lows. It was interesting, kind of pre that move, we had these Rambo patterns marking this congestion zone here. So the amateurs kind of selling down too short, kind of get caught, reversal of an amateur breakout, a Rambo pattern, go the other way. So they're kind of selling down at this point, and by the time it kind of starts to move over here, they're kind of getting stopped out, plus they're thinking it's going up, so they're kind of reversing and going long at this point, and then kind of the reverse happens to them again, sad. But down here they're kind of stopped out of those long positions, and they're also reversing and expecting this to fall into a downtrend, kind of get kind of confused at this point as well, and we kind of bounce from there. But again, professionals showing the way. These kind of bearish and bullish divergence signals after exhaustion, really interesting for trend changes. You sometimes need to wait for a pullback to end of trend sequence. Sometimes they just happen at the support resistance levels, and they're kind of a good place to kind of start thinking about entering. I went short on this move at 55.25 and took profits at 51, which is pathetic, really, because I captured this part of the move, and the move went for I don't know, is it another 20 points? God forbid. But anyway, a huge move after that. So I think that's probably my weakest part of my trading, is that I take profits too easily on these kind of big moves. But it was a pro signal exit. I was out on this kind of second lurch down into 51.25. I was happy, but the thing did accelerate a lot after that, and kind of there was good money to be made on the downside. Anyway, hope you traded it well, and I hope everybody kind of got on board some of this short move and kind of made money on it. So I'll tag on that last trade, but again, as I said, it was just for my 4 points, and there was a lot more in it. Looking forward to the next couple of days trading. 525, short 525, and there's a Rambo pattern which I don't particularly like, but it's break of support here. Got our blue professional bars into the highs on the 1500 tip bar chart with bearish divergence, and each of these blue professional bars came in here on 500, broke the lows. So we could be setting up for resistance here, and 4500 tip bar chart looks like a complex correction kind of pattern on the way up, and playing into resistance on the 40,500. So it's another Rambo pattern here. Be nice to get a decent trend move. We haven't had one, it's just been bouncing between these support and resistance, so one of these is going to crack at some point. Okay, we just had a little bounce back to 56s, but we're kind of rolling back down. Little blue professional bar here on 500 and one on the 1500, so on that little rise up, breaking the lows of that is good. So hopefully below support on 500 will break into a trend move on the way down here, so we just need to break to 55s and 54s. That'd be good. Going to get this thing going. That looks like it's setting up for a bearish divergence signal here, so let's see where this big move is going to happen today. Hopefully this one. Okay, it was pretty slow, but we've finally got the break down to 475, which is good. So we got all these blue professional bars, kind of one, here we go, it's breaking down more. Blue professional bar 500 and 1500 here, and on the 45 breaking the lows of that. So we got all these bearish divergence patterns are in. This looks like a complex correction on the way up on the 4500 tip bar chart, so there's a rainbow pattern here, but we'll swing around to pull back in a downtrend on the 500 tip bar chart. This will be a trend move, and if this is the big move of the day, it should take us to new lows maybe. Looking for 51.25, so bit of a ways away. Let's see. Okay, we've got a little bit of a collapse kind of going on here down to 53s. This next kind of support level here is 53.50. We've got blue professional bars just coming in here. We're in a downtrend on 500, so we've got to see pullback to end of trend on this thing. And it's minus 10,000, so there's quite a lot of selling kind of down there. But hopefully it'll just kind of catch temporarily and then kind of keep on going. So let's see. Right, well that's more like it. Finally got a decent break. It was coming up to support at 350 and it just fell through. We've got all these blue professional bars kind of here. The other kind of support is 225, which we kind of came very close to here, but we're still in a downtrend on 500. Got to make pullback to end of trend, looking for 125. This big readings, 14,000 on better momentum, so it's absolutely collapsed. Don't know, let's leave it at 125. Just has been slow going. Break down to 225 now. It was kind of like a technical bounce just happening here, almost at a previous low. We've got all these blue professional bars in 45. We've got exhaustion and pro signal exit. Here we go. Let's get to 125, please. Take me out. Out at 125 before. So, just as the blue professional bars kind of come in, 500 tip bar chart, got them down on the 4500 tip bar chart. Could be setting up for a bullish divergence. Anyway, we haven't seen pullback to end of trend. Should probably be holding a little bit longer, but it's been a slow day. What is it, 11:18 a.m. So finally a decent trend move. So that's put me up 3.25 after 6 trades today. So good. Where is it going after this? We've got resistance to kind of come in on 40,500 tip bar chart, and this was a complex correction on the way up, so that's an important kind of trend line break of this here. That's me done for the day. Hope you traded well, and see where we end up at the end of the day.